Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be working on my living room. This is going to be a multi-part video and this is part one. So we started off with some paint. Now I'm just going to be using some regular black matte paint, and then I decided to go back in and add 8-inch gloss strips. Now I know that kind of sounds weird, but you'll see here that it kind of gives it some dimension. And I only started doing the first half of the wall, mostly because I ran out of tape, and B, because I wanted to make sure that before I went any further that my husband wasn't like too against the idea of a dark black wall, because I kind of did this while he was at work as a little bit of a surprise, but he actually loved it, warmed up to it pretty quickly, and so I'm going to continue and do the rest of the gloss strips down towards the bottom half too. But anyways, as you see here, I just used a polyacrylic in between the matte strips to give it that glossy look, and then I pulled the tape off, and you'll see here how it gives it that like gloss matte, like striped look, but it gives it some dimension. So when you're in the house from far away, when there's like certain light hits it and stuff, you can tell that it's not just a plain black wall. And then I got these curtains at Home. It's a store that's locally around here that just opened. I was going to make them custom, but I was having a hard time finding the kind of fabric that I wanted. But I found this really pretty linen white fabric with this almost like silver sparkly type detail inside of it. And then I had this really pretty rod that I put up. So I think that adding that fresh white trim back onto it really transformed this wall, and I absolutely love it. Now keep watching if you want to see how I transformed a flea market bench into this pretty purple bench here. I turned this really old ottoman into a Pouf ottoman, and I made these shelves out of scraps as well as a mantle. The first project that we're going to be working on is the flea market bench flip. I picked this bench up at the flea market for 20 bucks. I couldn't believe it. It was in great shape, very sturdy, and I actually talked the guy down because it was the end of the day. I had to tote it all the way through the flea market, quite a haul, but it was totally worth it. Now I'm going to start out using some chalk paint. Now I picked this chalk paint up at Hobby Lobby, and you'll see later I'll put the color. I think it was like Victorian or something. Anyways, so what I love about chalk paint is that you can kind of just start painting. You don't really have to do much prep as such as sanding. I do recommend that you clean any products that you get secondhand. So I did a little wipe down with some wipes, and you're good to go. So I'm doing 1 or 2 coats of this paint, and then I'm going to do some waxing later. Now the waxing comes in 2 parts. You want to start with one clear coat or a natural coat, and then you can do your like a glaze coat if you're doing antiquing or different types of styles or colors. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just going to start out with the paint, and then we're going to move on to the wax. I'm going to do my first coat in the regular, what I have is a natural wax, and I'm using a sock. Socks are great. You can use any kind of cloth, whatever you have on hand. So you're going to want to do that whole wax on, wax off kind of technique, as you'll see here, and then you'll instantly see the difference. That's what I love about wax. Just a little bit of information about wax. When you're working with wax, it's something you want to move quickly with. You want to do your wax on and your wax off quickly and work in small areas, and then move quickly as you go, because you don't want to add wax on and have a long area to come back to. Otherwise that part may harden before you get to it, and then you're going to either smudge your paint or you're going to be left with that wax stuck in the creases or crevices, which is horrible. So I did 1 coat of that wax, and I let it set for a little bit, about 20-30 minutes. And now I'm going to go back, and I'm kind of winging this, guys. I'm literally coming up with this concoction, testing it out to see if it's going to work. I'm adding black acrylic paint, some metallic silver paint in with that clear or my natural wax. I mix it up really good until I got this like metallic-y, gunmetal looking kind of color. I don't know. Blend it really well though, so that wax kind of breaks up and it's not so clunky. And then I was really nervous, guys, but I just kind of slapped it on, moved quickly, wax on, wax off, and it came off pretty quickly, pretty well. I felt confident with going in and really pushing it into the crevices and then giving it a good go. So this is what it looks like. I'm just going to kind of show you guys briefly, and I was really impressed with the results. So tell me what you guys think down below. So after I wiped that first coat of wax off, I could tell that it was still pretty light, and I wanted it to be really dark and have a lot of detail and dimension, and I really wanted that metallic to kind of show. So I went in and I did another quick coat, and I went in and I left more in the creases and the crevices, as you can see. I left that to give it more of a detail afterwards, and I really liked it. Now some of you may want to know, why am I using wax? Well, wax is a good sealer. You can use that instead of using like a clear coat like polyurethane which can yellow certain products. Acrylics if you're like not really comfortable working with those because they make wax is a really good option for that. Now I wasn't sure if I wanted to upholster this bench or not by adding fabric, and so I decided that I was going to go ahead and at least distress it and add the glaze to it just in case I decided not to. That way it would be nice and cohesive and uniform. So I went ahead and did that to the top too. Just if I want to go back later and upholster it, I have that option too. But I was pretty pleased with the way it turned out. Now you'll want to let this sit overnight, probably about 24 hours. And then the next day you can go out with another sock or a cloth and really buff it out and get a nice shiny smooth look. If you make any mistakes or you don't like the way something's coming out, just use some clear wax and that will kind of like wipe it right off and fix your mistakes. So our next project is our Pouf ottoman makeover, or whatever you want to call it. It was an ottoman that I picked up at a yard sale for about 15 bucks a couple of years ago, and it's been sitting in our garage just taking up really prime real estate for, other projects and stuff. So anyways, I decided it's time to take it out and give this little baby a makeover with some of our leftover fabric. I picked this fabric up knowing that I'd want to use it eventually, but I didn't know for what. But I had enough that it would cover all of this. So I'm going to go ahead and place it on here, and I'm going to size it up just to make sure that it fits before I do any cutting. And I also inspected it, wiped it down, cleaned it, sanitized it, everything beforehand. And then I also took off the $15 label before I, put anything permanent on the top. So once you've got that all sized up, you'll want to kind of go ahead and place a couple of little staple marks on your far ends, like maybe 3 or 4, just to hold up your fabric and hold it in place so that you're not pulling too much fabric and not leaving enough slack on the other side when you get around. So once that's held in place, you can go around and you can start stapling in your fabric. Now I kind of wanted to have a pleated effect, so I folded over as I went. I would just kind of fold and staple, fold and staple, fold and staple repetitively all the way around until the whole thing was all stapled up. And you want to make sure that you're pulling taut too, because you don't want it to be really loose. Otherwise it's going to have like a saggy top effect, and it will also probably not hold very well. And if you have pets or whatever, they might be pulling at it. Kids might snag it. So again, pull something taut before you staple it. And that goes for any upholstery projects that you're working on. If you're upholstering bench or anything, headboard, whatever, make sure you're pulling your fabric taut so that you're getting a nice smooth look. Now I'm just using a standard stapler here. This is a staple gun that I picked up probably at Walmart or Hobby Lobby or Target or wherever. You can pick them up for a couple of bucks, they're not bad. And then you can get like a couple of thousand staples to go with it, and they're pretty easy to replace and put in. They come with an easy instruction. So I recommend them to keep on hand for a lot of projects. You can use them for working with wood crafts, if you're upholstering to boards, or if you're a teacher and you have a classroom and you're wanting to use, instead of using your stapler, I think these are great. So just pick one up, and also an extra pair of hands can be helpful sometimes too. So thanks, hubby. Now once your fabric is nice and secure, you'll want to go ahead and cut off any excess. If you want to, you can hot glue down your edges, especially when you're working with these very frilly and what I call sheddy type of fabrics. But this is the end result, and I am not disappointed, let me just say. Now, I didn't tuft this one like it was previously. I kind of just wanted it to look like a pouf, but it wasn't originally like a pouf. It's not filled with like the little beads or beans for a bean bag like a pouf would be. So it's a faux pouf ottoman, but you know what I mean. It kind of looks cool, and it was taking up space in the garage, but now at least it's sitting in here for my kids to, jump around and bounce off of. Now, the next project that I did are these makeshift shelves. I had some extra wood in the garage that was also taking up space, so I trimmed it up, made 2 little boards, painted it black, and I took some nail head trim tacks, some little straps that I had that were made with this like leather, and I slid some washers on them to kind of create this little hook part. And then what I did is I took my little nail head trims and I hammered it on. I put 2 of them on each side, one on the bottom and one on the side to help hold that fabric on. And then I did the same thing to the other side. Now I do recommend that you use a ruler or something to measure so that you get it evenly on both sides, so that you get a nice square level shelf. So as you see here, there it is, one on each side, the top and the side, and I did it on all 4 sides. Now this was just some scrap straps that I had left over. Actually, I think it was wrapped around one of my throw blankets that I bought. Kept it because you never know what you can use them for. Well, I didn't really want to spend any money, so I just used them for this. Now I'm doing this by myself. All I did was I stuck a monkey hook up in there and I attached it by the washer. I'm using my level to level it out, and then I am going to put my other monkey hook and attach my washer on the other side. And then if you need to make any adjustments or you're off slightly, the great thing about these monkey hooks is that they leave almost no hole. It is so tiny and so easy to fill, so they're great for like dorms or rental properties or apartments or whatever. But this is it, the monkey hook. Like, look how easy that was. Like, really, a washer and a monkey hook, all scraps, guys, and I made these shelves, so I love them. You know, they're not like perfect, they don't have a lot of detail to them, but for something delicate and that's strong enough to hold just what I'm on, I don't mind. Now I'm putting up these DIY canvases that I also made, and I made another video on those, so if you want to check that out, I will link that or put it in the little recommendation up above. So my goal with these shelves is to kind of use them to make like a gallery style wall. I'll be adding some different like decor items on them, moving them around. I'll probably redesign them a lot. I'll add different elements throughout the holidays. You know, we've got Halloween and fall coming up, so I'll interchange those colors, and then Christmas, etc. But mostly it's just a matter of figuring out where I want things, and it will be about changing things over and over and over again. I'm using a lot of recycled items, things that I've had left over from moves and roommates, and you know, I've got some of those canvases that I've made. I've got old flowers that I've recycled from my wedding, and you know, instead of using real flowers that would be wasted and thrown away, I decided I would save them, and well, now I'm using them to like re-vase and make little decorations to kind of bring in this plummy purple color, which I'm into at the moment. So, you know, we'll see how long this lasts until I want to change out that color. Considering where we started when we first moved in, I think this is a drastic improvement from these colors to this pretty cool decorated black bold wall with the glossy stripes, which I'm really digging, and actually my husband wasn't complaining about. He was surprised that he actually warmed up and liked it. You know, we added those shelves, we added some letters and new curtains. I've got my dining room table in here for now, but that'll obviously move. But another project that we worked on recently was this mantle that you see in the corner. Now it's going to be going over where our TV is, and we'll be mounting the TV up above there, but it is something that I have been wanting, and we made it ourselves. Mostly I wanted to practice my saw work, and I wanted to see if I could do all of it myself. Now my husband did help with a couple of the big cuts because some of the boards were a little too thick and I was a little too, I'll be honest, nervous to be working with a serious blade. But anyways, what I did is I started off by just framing it out, making sure everything was level, and then I added on some details. I added trim around the base, and then I decided I wanted to add some trim at the top. Now, I wasn't quite satisfied with just that one piece of trim, so I went back and added another little piece. But I do want to mention this plastic wood filler stuff because I think it's awesome. I used it to fill my edges and any screw holes that I had to give it a nice seamless look. That other piece of trim that I added here, I think just totally took it over the edge. And then I asked you guys on Instagram what color I should paint it, black or white, because you know I had a lot of black going on, but you guys voted white, so I went with that. I picked up this chalk paint here and these little hooks that I'm going to use to mount to the back so that I can use it to secure to the wall so that it's nice and safe and nothing falls off. My little secret here is my press and seal, because I didn't want to do this project outside because I live in Florida and it's really hot, so I put some press and seal on the floor and did it inside. But I'm actually in love with this mantle. It's one of my favorite projects yet, and I'm really proud of it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and our living room makeover so far, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Bye!